The Arizona Cardinals betting win total is on the rise year over year, Johnny Venerable.
Plus, does Cam Skattebo get 5 big booms for his pro day at ASU today? The latest from RB2 in this podcast, at least for me, and his 40 time live reaction and analysis. Plus, Bo and I unveil some very special NFL draft tiers at Pick 16. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. From Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is my co-host in Studio K, Mr. Brack. Damon Dawg getting ready for tip-off tonight with his Wildcats. So we got Shane Deef. The Deef, Damon off, the Deef in today in Studio K. So much to talk about, Bo Brack. How we living?
We're living well, man. I want to say hi to the chat out there. What's up, RQ? I see you en route to opening day. All right. The Snakes, they're hitting the diamond today, Johnny. Also, Brian, I see Shaft. What's going on, my guy? Christian, live from Studio K. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. Tony, I see you, Tony, and Ryan Walker. It's unbelievable. The crew here: Whisper Dan, Josh, Alberto, Merv, Bustamante, Amadeus. The squad. Don't do a batting stance ever again. By the way, I just saw that on replay. And Benjamin, the squad, here to talk some ball, here to talk some scat, here to talk some draft, all the above.
Get that elbow up. That's what my ice. Get that elbow up in the cage.
That's old stuff.
I couldn't.
That's outdated.
You know what? My hands just weren't quick enough getting around the barrel. Was Cam Skattebo quick enough today? We're going to talk about that. We've got some sources here at PHNX Sports that have some definitive answers pertaining to what Cam Skattebo ran, because I know there's a lot of analysis on the Twitter streets. So stay tuned for that, because we've been pumping that up. But first, we talked about it, teased it yesterday, per Las Vegas. And again, numerous betting apps, including our friends at Bet365, Never Ordinary. The over-unders for 2025 are here, and they usually are released post-free agency. So again, quarterbacks change, maybe some big-ticket acquisitions. A team like the Minnesota Vikings, the Patriots spend some money. The draft is in about a month's time, but the over-unders have been revealed, as has the Cardinals over-under for 2025. Bo, 8.5, coming off 6.5 last year. 8.5 is the over-under, which feels, I think, very appropriate. This is a team that, listen, I don't think 9 wins is going to get you in the playoffs, but it's like they are a coin flip. Can they make the postseason? That's what this is telling me. 8.5 can go one of two directions. You either underachieve or you make the playoffs this year, something that's the expectation for everybody involved.
Yeah, Vegas expects you to check in right at your baseline around 8. And if you do the right necessary work and you get, that extra 1, 2, 3 wins, yeah, you're right there in the thick of the playoff picture. But, the Arizona Cardinals coming off an 8-win season, it's what you wanted to see. I mean, it's a far cry from where they were, 2 seasons ago. It's just about we were looking at 6.5, then moved to 7.5 before last season. I know we'll get into it a little bit here in depth as far as the rise and kind of the ebbs and flows of it year to year. But 8.5, I think it's a decent spot, right? You got to prove some people wrong, but at the same time, you've been doing a lot of good things over the last couple of years. Kind of earn yourself back to about the 500 mark, and then you start to reestablish yourself after some real thin years.
It's the second go around, I think, building a roster around Kyler Murray, right? Like You had the first year with Cliff when the team picking first overall 5-10-1. And then the next year, what'd they do? They were right at 500. They started fast, imploded down the stretch. And then his last year, the year that they made the playoffs, they finished with 11 wins. I think they're on a very similar trajectory, but you got to hope that with Ossenfort building through the draft and with Jonathan Gannon at the helm, that this is something that's more stable, because it peaked at 2021. And we're going to look at the over-unders for years prior here in a second, but I'm with you. I think this is Vegas saying Cardinals' floor is right around 7 or 8 wins this year, and their ceiling is double-digit wins, something that you and I at least expect right now. They were a team last year, that their schedule was as tough as they come in the NFL. We broke it down. Their losses, and they had 4 through 10 games, were all the playoff teams, elite teams in the NFC. Detroit, when they had Aiden Hutchinson, right? Washington, the Green Bay Packers when Jordan Love was back. I mean, the Cardinals lost to a slew of teams last year that made the playoffs. So it's very much like, okay, we're going to feed you the NFC South, trash, and the AFC South, trash. Can you stockpile some wins?
Right.
Can you flip a couple of these games against playoff teams that you didn't win a year ago? Can you overcome Seattle? Can you overcome whomever is Minnesota this year that you lost in the final seconds? Can you win a couple of those games while just really keeping it status quo? I think the Cardinals can make the playoffs this year, playing 500 ball in the NFC West. Of course, that's not the hope. That's not the expectation, but you can get away with that.
Yeah.
Where the Cardinals were their biggest, frauds last year.
Right.
They couldn't beat playoff teams last year. That's what this over-under reflect. Can they beat playoff teams?
They lost to one game to a sub 500 team. That's it.
Yep.
I mean, of course, it was a huge, crushing, backbreaking loss, right, against the Carolina Panthers on the road. A very winnable game. They lost in overtime and have several opportunities to get that dub. But outside of that, you're losing to basically either the Seahawks, who are a double-digit win team, but on the outside looking in, or a playoff team. That's where your L's came last year. And now you get to feast on the NFC South, where you look at in the AFC South, your home schedule, it provides the opportunity to really kind of stack wins, as you mentioned. Just to get to 7, when you start to look at it, you're getting a third place schedule and you're getting those 2 divisions. That's going to give you, outside of your division, an opportunity to get nearly to your win total if you just take care of business. Now, it's the NFL. You have some slip-ups, cliches, ending given Sundays, or anything you want to pile on with that. If you finish 500 or better in your division, you should cruise past 8.5 wins. You should be right where you want to be as far as going for a playoff spot in a tough division. The key to this for me that I keep on, I don't want anybody to forget about, not only do the Cardinals get to take on and just dominate the AFC and NFC South, so does the rest of your division. Seahawks get to play them. Rams get to play them. Niners get to play them. So you got to be right there on par with where you were last year in the division. What was it? 3-3. You can't slip up and, go 2-4, 1-5.
What division got to do that last year? The NFC North.
Yeah.
What division in the NFC got 3 playoff teams in? The NFC North, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings.
Sure.
Vikings overachieved. Packers were solid. Lions were the number 1 seed. It's a smorgasbord. By the way, in 2021, when the Cardinals made the playoffs, what division did they play? The AFC and NFC South. We're running it back. And by the way, what happened in 2021? 3 teams from the NFC West made the playoffs. So, sometimes it's not that hard just to kind of look at the landscape of your division and who they play and just say, got a great shot. Multiple teams do.
Right.
But I'm with you. You have to split with Seattle minimum. You have to split with the Rams minimum. And I do think you need to dog walk the Niners again. But we'll have plenty of time to preview that. Let's take a look at the over-under for this year as compared to years prior. Shane Diefenbach putting together this banger of a graphic here all the way back to 2015. Cardinals undervalued the year they had the 2 seed in the NFC, 8-5. Looking at some of these years prior, the only years where Vegas thought Cardinals were not going to be very good, of course, post Bruce Arians, 2018, then of course Cliff's first year, 2019, and then the first 2 years of the JG era 4.5, and 6.5. The biggest disappointment in terms of overall win totals, I think you could have a tie for first. 2016, the Cardinals imploded, too inconsistent defensively. They finished 7-9 or 7-10 that year. And then, of course, or 7-8-1, excuse me. And then, of course, 2022, the biggest outlier year, projected to win 9 games coming off their playoff loss against the Rams. Cliff fired. Keim fired. Kyler Murray tears his ACL. Everything goes up in smoke. What do you make of this, Bo Brock? Do you think there's a trajectory here for the Cardinals to follow?
Yeah, there is. I mean, when you start to look at kind of, I guess, the team when it was in a rebuild, right? When they had that ability to add talent, they had decent draft capital like they've had the last 2 off seasons. You see that just kind of linear rise, right? Where 2019 coming off of the brutal 2018 season, you go 5, 7, 8, and then the expectations settle in, and then you kind of you cower, right? And it's gross. Like 2022 and 2018 were just brutal years to watch as Cardinals fans. We're like 2023, you knew the assignment, like 4.5, like that's a tough pill to swallow. But at the same time, you understood that there was just a roster that was in place that just wasn't competitive. But credit to Jonathan Gannon and his staff getting those teams to stay in games, stay in the fight. And then you like to see like your team not be given any benefit of the doubt at 6.5 last year and bested by a game and a half. And, that was what Cliff was on the trajectory to do his first 3 years. What he had improved by, I think, a game and a half, almost 2 per season. Can Jonathan Gannon follow that trajectory, but then keep the consistency after that? That's what the previous regime just didn't have. But I think that's where it's going to you're going to be able to separate the new regime with the previous regime, because it was so up and down after Bruce Arians exited, right? Like it just wasn't the sustainability factor that you hope is in place now for the new Arizona Cardinals.
I mean, it's a big reason why I think we've reported or we've talked about it. Like Ossenfort and Gannon, would they get 5-year deals? I mean, this was a long play for Michael Bidwell, and give credit. There's no reactionary David Tepper firing coaches left and right. I think the Cardinals are in a good spot. Gerard Mayo one and done after a year. That's not happening. Like everybody knew the task at hand when Gannon and Ossenfort took over. I mean, hell, they had guys straight up turn down the job. Dan Quinn, multiple executives wouldn't even. Rand Carthon, who's been fired from Tennessee since then, wouldn't even interview. Adam Peters. So, not all openings we know are the same and have the same expectations, regardless of Kyler Murray. This was always going to be a spot for JG and Ossenfort. Yes, they needed to win and put this roster back together, but you could expedite it with getting improved play from Kyler Murray, but it wasn't a necessity. If Kyler Murray hadn't played well at the end of last or 2 years ago, they could have pivoted. They could have taken another quarterback. So, and they still have the right to, whether it's this draft, next year, what have you, sign a free agent. They're in a position now, and I've made this comp before, where Jonathan Gannon, he may never win anything. He may never win a Super Bowl or get to a Super Bowl NFC championship game. But people we talk to, the vibe I get from him when we're around him, you've got a Mike Vrabel-esque stability with him, where outside of quarterbacks plateauing, major injuries, you have a floor with him, I think, every year about 7 games. And if you're Michael Bidwell, that is worth its weight in gold, where you're not going to be imploding year after year, right? You look at some of these teams, and it's the Jets and the Browns. You're going through 4 or 5 win seasons every year. The Las Vegas Raiders, the Cardinals, they want to stay where they're at and improve. But if you have some years that dip a little bit, that's okay. You just can't have those historically bad years, those god-awful years. The Cardinals need – this is how you build your rapport back with the fan base at State Farm Stadium. It's just we're going to be hella competitive at home, okay? We may not always be the most talented team, but we're going to have opportunities to take a great shot at this, and we will never implode. Nobody's done this better, by the way, than the Seattle Seahawks, which have not rebuilt since Pete Carroll's last 7 and 9 season. They've been over 500 almost every year.
Great drafting and developing, right?
Yeah.
And that's how in a cap league, when you start to lose, heavy is the crown. When you have all that success, everybody wants your players, and it's tough to keep them and stay under that salary cap, especially when you need to pay a quarterback. Cardinals already paying one, but they're in a position after just 2 off seasons of drafting and developing to really kind of that foundation being laid and being able to lean on it. So it's just like, oh, we've got, some talent in this position group, but this one, like, oh man, I hope that doesn't become like a deciding factor because we're in trouble. And like too often it did. It's like they couldn't stop the run or they couldn't, muster the offense that they needed to. But now I think across the board, this team is improved. And that's a big time credit to Monti Ossenfort. Now, like, we sit here and we talk conservatively about 8.5, right?
Yeah.
We look at it and we're like, I think they can go over, but we don't say that with an overwhelming amount of confidence. I think there's probably going to be by July, training camp, early August, an unbelievable amount of confidence from Jonathan Gannon and his staff that it's not going to be like this incremental increase in wins. Like, I think there's going to be a belief in that locker room, that organization, that they're going to fly by 8.5 wins.
I mean, you said it, that we both predicted they win 10 games right now without knowing each other's predictions. I mean, you look at this roster right now, even if Kyler Murray, and that's the biggest concern for casual fans, for Kyler Murray, non-supporters, what kind of player are you going to get from K1 in December and January? A point of pride, I feel like I was at Kyler Murray, one of his best games ever as a member of the Cardinals. Late in the year, he went to Dallas. Remember, he beat Dak Prescott in Dallas to secure, I think, a playoff spot for the team in 2021. Like, get that Kyler Murray. Let's get some of these AFC South teams and NFC South teams on the road at State Farm Stadium late in the year. But then Hellbo, like we were talking about it last year, the second half of the schedule felt like bust-proof, right? Carolina's on the schedule. Everybody thought Seattle was going to be terrible, losing Pete Carroll, me included. New England was on your schedule. You got that dub. I mean, we're going to have a definitive schedule breakdown here after the draft of when it's all mapped out. But that to me is the biggest concern because I love K1. I have seen them start fast before. Yeah. I mean, they were 6-4 last year. Yeah. We were counting our playoff chips.
Like that was the outlier performance so far in his career, unfortunately, right? Yeah. I mean, that was, in baseball, when you go on a bit of a losing skid and then you've got your ace taking the ball, on the 5th day, and Kyler Murray goes out there and throws a gem that you absolutely had to have because they were no doubts about it and still arguably did because of the finale loss to Russell Wilson and his Seahawks finale in week 17 of that season. They backed into that playoff appearance against the Rams, and it showed in how they got their doors blown off by the eventual champions. But, Kyler Murray, I think more so than just being consistent down the stretch is being consistent from start to finish. And that's what Jonathan Gannon told you and I, right? Yeah. If Kyler Murray can be a consistent version of his really good self, this team's going to be in a great spot. If Marvin Harrison Jr. puts explosives back in this passing attack, if he takes the next step in year 2 of his NFL career, like this team's going to be in a really good spot, like to take care of the Falcons at home, to take care of the Panthers, the Jags, the Titans. Like those should be no doubt about it. Slam dunk, just write it in with a Sharpie, wins at home. And you've got like the Colts on the road. You got the Saints. These are games like that they should just win outright. And if they do that, like they are going to be in a spot. And then if they take the next step and they start beating playoff caliber teams, then that, you can kind of just talk yourself into 7 pretty easy wins. Then you could start to get to 10 to 11. And I think that's where they want to go. And the same thing, like as we were saying and going into last year, Kyler Murray plays all his games. We thought that would equal a playoff appearance. If Kyler Murray is consistent in all of his games, or most of them, the Cardinals are going to be in a way better spot than they were last year.
I mean, he can play like an A. He can also play like a C- quarterback. Yeah. You got to get B to B+ every week, right? As much as I love the Kyler Murray, big explosives against the LA Rams in week 2, give me just Kyler Murray in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago. Give me Kyler Murray against the Eagles. Minimize the mistakes. Keep the train on the tracks because I mean, it's crazy to say this. Now you have a roster, Bo, where you can have a little bit of a game manager at times and win games this way. We feel like that, right? What the Cardinals can't do, they can't turn the ball over, right? He's not special enough right now to overcome turnovers. He's just not. He's not Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, etc. But he's a guy where take care of the football, average about 2 passing touchdowns a game. With Marv and Trey McBride and Michael Wilson and a dominant run game and a plus offensive line and a defense that's going to be leaps and bounds better personnel-wise, I mean, you should win double-digit games, and Vegas thinks you're right there. 6.5 last year, 2-game improvement now. Cardinals, it's a make-or-break season for a lot of people in that building. I like the trajectory, though.
I'm looking at the division, too. I mean, it's tough because here the Cardinals are 8.5. You got the Rams. They're projected at 10.5.
Yeah.
The Niners inexplicably are at 10.5.
It's so gross.
And then you're trying to, I'm looking here and the Cardinals looks like they're above the Seahawks, or actually right there on par with the Seahawks at 8.5. I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to find in division. Maybe the NFC North is there. Yeah. They've got the Bears disgustingly at 8.5 wins as well after, whatever last season was. But yeah, I mean, your division is just absolutely stacked, and all teams' win total is right there. Seahawks, Cardinals just a notch above 500, and 2 teams significantly over 500.
So it's going to be probably the narrative if Kyler Murray inevitably doesn't work out this year or whenever, and they pivot off of him. The narrative, I think, is going to be partially that the Cardinals failed him with Keim and Kingsbury and Michael Bidwell early on, but also he was not built to compete in a division with potentially 3 Hall of Fame head coaches. I mean, this is not screw around time with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson at Pittsburgh, right? Or whatever the Browns are doing. The Jets, I mean, Buffalo, Josh Allen eats that division for breakfast, right? Like, this division is just different. And I'm hopeful Kyler Murray can overcome it this year. But it takes a special quarterback, or in Brock Purdy's case, a flipping loaded roster where you're hitting on all cylinders and he can just dink and dunk his way down the field.
What do you think about, I mean, let's get that sledgehammer out and pound the under on the Niners 10.5.
Yeah, that feels like easy money. I mean, I was impressed with what I saw from Ricky Pearsall in the finale and some of the games down the stretch. But come on, let's be
Is
serious.
it because of the 4th place schedule, you think?
Yeah. I mean, they're playing the Browns every other week. I mean, their schedule, it's so gross because they get to play the 2 divisions the Cardinals are playing plus all the last place teams.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw people, by the way, that were like, Cardinals should have lost out, so they got that last place schedule. Come on, turn your brain on. Every win is important. Yeah. Shanahan can do that because he's got multiple NFC championships under his belt. Gannon and Ossenfort need every win they can.
Yeah. I know people, and we don't put too much credit or credence in the finale and, the 4 touchdown performance from Kyler and the offense, right? Like, we're not going to sit there and just have the wool over eyes and say it's fixed. The offense, we saw it. What they walked off the field with in 2024 is what we're going to see in 2025. We understand it lacked consistently from start to almost finish. They need to prove us wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, the Cardinals, as far as where they're trying to go, that's not going to be kind of the tone setter there, the way they finished. I mean, but they should be able to smack the 49ers next season, no doubt about it. I mean, 10.5 is crazy talk with the max exodus there, and where are they going to get their playmaking in the division?
Here is what you can build on if you're the Arizona Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon and a fan of this team. The Cardinals, save for the Seahawks loss at home, 30-18, in which Kyler Murray gifted the Seattle Seahawks basically 2 touchdowns with 2 deep in their own territory interceptions. The Cardinals defense against the NFC West this year was dominant, right? Rams, week 2, 10 points allowed. 49ers, 23 points allowed, multiple takeaways, right? At Seattle, they gave up 16 points in a loss. At LA, they gave up 13 points in a loss. That makes me feel good that with a toolbox of, let's just call a spade, not great personnel, Rollis and Gannon we're borderline dominant defensively. So that I just goes to show, lean into the run game, play action, and this defense. Is there a player that can help this run game? Does he play at ASU? Is his name Cam Skattebo? We're going to break down his 40 time, whether you like it or not. That's coming up on PHNX Cardinals. But first, again, I'm staying cool this summer, again, with a bunch of different features. But number one in the Venerable household, going to be our friends at All Pro Shade Concepts. I was outside earlier today. We've reached that plateau. We have migrated from this feels nice and breezy, mid to high 70s, to I'm sweating my you-know-what off, and I need relief in the best possible way. And the beauty of All Pro Shade Concepts is custom fit awnings, hundreds of designs. If you've never been to Arizona, by the way, there's that little myth. It's like, well, it's hot, it's hot. Well, the humidity plays a big part in the Midwest. In Arizona, it's a dry heat, right? So if you can get some shade, it can drop it up to 20 degrees cooler with our friends at All Pro Shade Concepts. Hundreds of colors, durable fabrics. Here's one of my favorite features they do. A lot of people out there already have awnings. They already have shades. They buy a house. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this? They can help fix what you have, right? They can make the most potentially of your situation. That's because they're the most trusted local shade company, voted #1 ranking by Arizona for patio shades since 2024, the triple BA+ rating. Again, check out their reviews on Google, over 1,000 5-star reviews. They've been in business in the Valley for 20 years. They were doing shades for family and friends in Phoenix. Now they are the elite of the elite, licensed, bonded, and insured. Unparalleled customer service. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com to schedule your free estimate today, Bo.
It's almost 5 o'clock here on a Thursday. Do you know where your money is right now? Do you have any clue? Are you tracking your cash? You're probably spending quite a bit on Uber Eats or DoorDash. Who knows? I mean, but now we do, because we've got a great tracking system. Monarch Money is going to take the confusion out and the messiness with Monarch Money, acting like your personal CFO. Who doesn't need that? We all need that. Whether, you're paycheck to paycheck or whether you're in a comfortable spot, maybe you're looking to invest. It's Monarch Money that's going to help you know more about average budgeting and complete financial command to center your accounts, investments, and goals. Don't you just manage your money? You start building wealth. 50% off your first year for the listeners of this podcast with Monarch Money. Use the code PHNX at monarchmoney.com, and you can get the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 5-star reviews. Not just us here at PHNX. It's 30,000 plus that are saying this is legit. This is sending me on the right financial track. Get control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code PHNX at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code PHNX.
We got almost 500 people watching live. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. Want to remind everybody right now, the draft tickets, they're on sale. They're available for, I like to say, limited time only, because I don't know how much longer they're going to be available. Check us out with our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. It's going down April 24th. Again, I want to say all inclusive because you get 3 free drinks with your drink tickets that night, plus an all-you-can-eat buffet built into the price. So fired up. Tons of our friends are going. I talked to Shaft. I've talked to Jessica. Everybody's got their tickets. Everybody's ready to roll. Again, if you need tickets, get them now. Do not wait. Thursday, April 24th, 5 p.m. It's the Upper Deck Kitchen and Bar. Come to our watch parties. It's an elite setup, and we do draft day like nobody else. We want to see you there. Plus, if you're a diehard, you get 20% off your tickets. Not just your ticket, but everybody in your package, right? If you buy 5, 6, 7 tickets, 20% off the total order. You're saving money. Giveaways, discounts, surprises, and more. I'm so fired up, Bo, to be returning to Gila for our draft party.
Yeah, it's going to be elite. Upper Deck Kitchen. They're going to have the best food. They're going to have the drinks that you're going to want. Of course, the immaculate vibes that are always there. Can't wait for it. Get in on our draft party today. Do not waste another moment. Get there. It's going to be elite.
Speaking of elite, Cam Skattebo, his pro day today was closed to the media, was ASU. So there was limitation on the info that came in and out of ASU today. And, no issue with that. But thankfully, we got boots on the ground here locally. Anthony Totri of PHNX Sun Devils tweeted this out earlier today pertaining to Cam Skattebo's 40 time, because there were some numbers being floated out here, but I trust my guy Totri saying Skattebo ran a low 4.6 in his 4-yard dash during his private workout on Thursday per source. So again, we had Fran Duffy on yesterday. We've been talking about it, teasing it. I was hopeful for sub 4.6. Looks like it didn't happen. Your reaction to this, and how do you believe it impacts his draft stock, Bo?
I think it's minimal impact. Like, it wasn't, slow to the point where you think, hey, this guy is a firm, day 3 pick. I mean, I think he still has the chance to get in and become a late day 2 pick, just depending on how a team values him. But, 4.6, it's fine. I mean, I think that's where people probably would have projected him to go. And then we were talking to Fran yesterday, like, how could he boost himself? Looking at just with the different percentiles, he would be right around where he needed to be, kind of average to above average, if he was right there in the 4.5. So, him at 4.6, low 4.6, according to our guy Totri from PHNX Sun Devils, he's dialed in. I trust that reporting more than anything else you're going to see out there on the social media streets, that, that's where Scat is about. I think it kind of keeps his draft stock, Johnny, at the status quo.
Yeah. I'm with you. I listen, like, he was never going to be Jahmyr Gibbs running 4.36, right? He's not that kind of player. I mean, this is probably going to make you throw up in your mouth when I do this comparison, but the Cardinals' own backfield, I know Trey Benson ran a sub 4.4. I mean, he was lightning fast, but can I say something about that? I don't know if that's translated on the field yet. Like, we didn't see one big explosive in terms of Trey Benson breaking a one-cut run like he did in the ACC on NFL Sundays. I think you could make an argument like DeMercado had a couple more of those. James Conner ran a 4.65 coming out. Now, James Conner is built very differently than Cam Skattebo. So I think more important for Cam, the agility training, the explosiveness with his lower body he showed with when he jumped at the combine. His center of gravity is elite. That's his best trait. Then you couple that with his hands. I think, can he come in and compete for snaps, have a package of about 8 to 10 plays this year? I think that's realistic. And then, listen, if he earns his keep and people fall in love with him in the film room, in the locker room, then I think his role can expand. But I think for him to come in and take over a backfield, save for injury, probably not realistic, at least as a rookie.
I think he did a lot of the heavy lifting with just the 2 drills he participated in the draft, right? At the draft combine, with the nearly 40-inch vertical, showing some explosiveness there, having a decent broad jump, and then putting this kind of with what people's expectations were. I don't think anybody thought, when they watched Scat and the Sun Devils make their run to the CFP and take Texas down to the wire, that this was going to be somebody that was going to be like lighting up the scoreboard at the combine, or really, RAS scores were going to be off the charts. I mean, he was a 0-star recruit. So, like, his game transcends, what you're going to get with the measurables, what you're going to get from the workout scores. So, like, he's right. I think he's right where he needs to be. Like, could he have boosted it? Yes. But, like, you're asking for somebody to do something pretty Herculean at that point. Now it's like, okay, Scat is essentially at least who we thought he was. And I think that is going to go, as far as we're kind of in lockstep, where I think the NFL, there could be a few teams that view, hey, this is just a part of the equation. We like the tape more so. We like the character, and he could do what he's been he told us in Indy, like, he could be a 3rd round pick.
I think that's his goal. I think that continues to be his goal. Some notable guys outside of the running back position, including the running back position, that have ran right around 4.6. Sam Laporta, ran a 4.6 once upon a time. Puka Nacua was just under 4.6 at the combine. Lucas Van Ness. How about Clayton Tune, 4.64?
Whoa.
So, yeah, Clayton Tune flying straight to the practice squad. Let's see.
Well, we have Scat running this thing, right?
We do.
Like,
all right, let's take a look at it. I think that's
important too. When you like watch the game film, you look to see if they're fluid. Like, let's take a look at inside the Dickey Dome here in Tempe. There he is. I mean, he looks smooth getting up there, shirtless. getting after it.
Let's see that one more time, Shano. I mean, he looks good running. He doesn't look slow. He doesn't look awkward. And again, as much as people gawk at this, like he's still a power runner. He's a yards after contact runner. He's not going to run over people in the NFL, but he's got an ability to at least break tackles. He's going to be a pain in the ass to take down. Like, again, the very best at that, Frank Gore, LaDainian Tomlinson, those guys had tremendous center of gravity. And I'm not comparing Skattebo to those, all-time Hall of Famers like X's and O's, but like that's the best version of what he's attempting to be. Those kind of players, right? And I think if he can come in and, again, establish himself within a locker room, probably going to have to play special teams, has an opportunity to do some things on third down and bide his time. Mm-hmm. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to be just fine. But again, 5'9", 215, as people are saying in the chat, like he's just a load to tackle. Go back and watch some of those goal line plays against Texas in the Peach Bowl. And he was hit at the point of attack. I love what Kenny Dillingham did this year. Their offensive line was suspect at certain times this year, especially against Texas, who's got NFL players, right? How many top picks on the offensive line does ASU have right now? And he's breaking tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Like that, not all 3 or 4 yard runs are created equal. And that's one of the best things he did. So that does translate to the NFL, because the difference is, and this is what concerns me about Genty, felt like Genty the first time he's getting touched a lot with Boise State, it was like 5 to 7 yards downfield. And he's making people miss that aren't going to be playing the NFL. At least Skattebo's, the Peach Bowl was so imperative because Texas has an NFL caliber defense, Bo.
I'll also say he changed his style completely from 2 years ago to this year. Like he dropped 20 plus pounds ish, or around 20 pounds going into the next year, and got a lot thinner so he could get breakaway runs, because that was the only knock on him the year before, is there were no big, huge plays. He had a couple of them. But to what you were saying earlier about his, he's not going to run over people. He won't, because that wasn't really his game in college either. The thing that is the most impressive about him is his contact balance. Like it doesn't matter where you hit him. You can hit him low and he'll do a front flip and put his hand down and stay going. Like that's just the type of runner he is. And so I don't think that's going to matter that much.
Right. I mean, and keep it like with all that in the center of gravity and the balance and being able to play at 4.6 potentially, like you see that more so than somebody who goes way low.
Yeah.
And they don't play at that speed. And, the ability, like, you can accelerate at a decent speed. Can you decelerate at a good speed too, where you're not telegraphing where you're going? And I think that Skattebo possesses the ability to kind of play at an NFL caliber pace that gave him the ability to perform against no matter who he was playing against, whether it was Texas State in week 2 or whether it was Texas in the college football playoff.
Where do you feel like now after seeing that? I know it doesn't change a lot for you. What's the highest he could be drafted in your opinion? Not in terms of round, but let's just say pick, right? Yeah. The second round ends right around what? Pick 65. So we both agree now, probably not likely he goes in the first 2 rounds. But if I look at the full order, the first pick of the 3rd round belongs to the Giants at pick 65, all the way through Detroit at pick 102. The 4th round starts at 103. Give me his sweet spot of where he could be drafted based on the pick, not the round.
Yeah, I think you hope he makes his way past the slums of like the Browns. I think the Raiders will already have a back, but Benjamin Albright thought they were going to take 2 backs. Is that their second running back off the board in this draft? Get it out of the Jags, get away from the Saints, maybe the Bears, like maybe starting at 72. Is it like the run of like the Bears,
San Fran,
the Niners, right? You got the Cowboys in there. There's a lot of decent teams that I think, that like to run the football. I know the Seahawks have loaded up on backs. Steelers are one of those teams, I think. A lot of opportunities there. Broncos in the 85. I think you start to look at it just after 70 down to about, I think he goes between 70 and like 85.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I'll be I'll give you even more grace. Like I think he goes at the probably the back half of the third round at this point, and I think that's fantastic. I think he's going to be a top 100 pick. I mean, like, Michael Wilson was a top 100 pick. Garrett Williams, snuck into the third round, and he was a first round caliber pick before he tore his ACL. Like, you look at some of these teams on the back half. I mean, Kansas City doesn't have a great backfield right now, inconsistent. Minnesota could use a back. The Giants could use a back. Rams, Niners have multiple picks in the third round. I think he goes
all those compensatory picks.
Yeah, I think he goes between. I'm with you. Put the window from about 70, maybe 72 to 102. I'll say there's a sweet spot about 30 picks there. He's going to go.
I mean, we're just doing that like wishful thinking for Scat that he's going to have to play for the Saints at 71.
Yeah, I mean,
when they're playing with negative $350 million in cap space in 2028.
It's like, Cam, can you also maybe play quarterback like Taysom Hill used to do? He was like, sure, that's fine. I'll do that. We're fired up here. Drop a like on this video. So Cam Skattebo, basically, he's putting a bow on his draft season sans some top 30 visits. We know that the Arizona Cardinals had him in for a top 30. Who is the safest pick for the Cardinals to select at pick 16th overall? And who is the biggest concern, risk, and on-field production-wise? Bo and I have about 5 to 6 categories we've comprised of the major players from best case scenario, dream scenario, all the way down to thanks but no thanks. We're going to break down our newly created tiers right around the corner. 500 plus live. Drop a like. It's PHNX Cardinals.
Love that from Scat out there in Tempe. Love this from Cornbread Hemp. That what we're talking about, Johnny? We love Cornbread Hemp. Use the code PHNX right now, and you're going to get to save some money if you're trying them for the first time. How about 30% off your first order? Cornbread Hemp, America's first USDA organic THC gummy. Their mission at Cornbread is to improve the quality of your life with the highest quality hemp. They don't take any shortcuts, any back roads here. They love what's going on. They want the healthy happy hour going on with you. A natural, healthier way to experience carefree moment with Cornbread's THC gummies. Offer the balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. You're not looking for some sort of nightmare moment where you just want to get yourself off of THC for the rest of your life. No, they've got no synthetic ingredients. They've got 10 milligrams of THC per gummy. It's just the right dose. They got so much going on here. Many people around PHNX have tried Cornbread. They love it. You should try it for yourself. Get that 30% off by utilizing the code PHNX. They created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy, and it's 100% legal. Special offer for PHNX listeners. You get that 30% off. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX. Use the code PHNX at checkout. Again, cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX. Use the code PHNX and get your 30% off at checkout.
Drop us a like for our friends at Cornbread Hemp. Drop us a like for our friends at Circle K. It's America's thirst stop. And it's where you want to be, especially on a hot, sunny day like today. 79-cent Polar Pops or Frosters. All you got to do is sign up today to be a member of the Inner Circle. How do you sign up? It's super easy. Join the Inner Circle for free by entering your email and phone number on the newly created app, and you're good to go. All you need is your phone number to get the deals moving forward, including save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Save 3 cents per gallon every single day. They've got plenty of other member-exclusive deals and discounts to choose from. Those are the heavy hitters. Be a big saver with our friends at Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com, Bo, for more details.
It's unbelievable. I went and filled up at Circle K this morning just by utilizing my free Inner Circle app, Johnny. Got 40 cents off per gallon. Free. You don't pay for this stuff. It's unreal. What are you doing? Don't waste any more time.
I went to a very viable fast food restaurant last night to drive through, and it was over 30. Man? It was over $30. I'm not. I didn't, and I'm just like, why am I here? Why am I doing this to myself? But here's what I'm going to do for all of you. I want everybody here to drop a like, and we're going to unveil some tiers here in a second. As we're fired up here on a football Thursday. I don't remember what day of the week it is. Cardinals relatively quiet right now. It's March 27th. Boy, did free agency kind of come and go about 10 days in. there are a ton of free agents still available, and the NFL's like, thanks, but no thanks, right? Our guy, Kazir White, multiple corners. Asante Samuel Jr., his visit, it was 2 weeks ago. He's got nothing since then. So I think the NFL is kind of drawing a line in the sand that, this is not a great free agent class. A lot of the money has been spent. The Cardinals still have $41 million to spend. We know they need an outside corner. I mean, to me, I thought by now, 2 weeks later, that they would at least add 1 to 2 more pieces, Bo.
Right. Yeah. More so than just these guys who are going to be fighting for roster spots like the Jake Currans of the world, the Royce Newmans on the offensive line, or Jalen Jones, who has played like he's a defensive back by trade, but he's a special teamer, right? So they haven't filled that void that they wanted to fill as far as vet corners go. And it's probably just, a true indictment of where the class is and what the Cardinals, like you can just tell Monti Ossenfort, even with all this cap space, he can find the bargain bin and just grab, put under his arm 10 DVDs, run by the cashier and say, keep the change, but he refuses to do so. He's not going to make a deal just to make a deal, especially if it's a bad one. So really kind of monitoring the market on some guys, I'm sure, and wanting to upgrade the roster, but understand that there's going to be the ability, if they want to match somebody's offer or get a deal done, they can. But some of this probably isn't going to resolve itself as far as these curious cases in free agency until after the draft.
Well, and here's something that you can be critical of Ossenfort is he has not found in 2 off seasons, now this is a third, a quality free agent signing after the initial wave. Like 2 years ago, they were cutting left and right because White and Will Hernandez were early signings, and then nothing, right? And then last year, one of the biggest criticisms was, they were middling with Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones to start free agency. And then they basically quit. They signed Zay Jones. I remember it was like early April, but all May, all June, all July, they're not working anybody out. They're not looking at guys. And again, there are reasons guys are available, but there were guys that could have helped this team last year. And they basically were like, it almost made a stance. We're not signing anybody. We're focused on undrafted free agents, our free agent class. That's fine when your expectations, as we mentioned, were 6.5 over under. 8.5 now. If there's a player, and again, I do not like to give Steve Keim credit on this show. I know it's a 4-letter word here. His best attribute, outside of a couple trades early in his career, he could sign guys in June and July that would come in and help this team. And in a lot of cases, those were Bruce Arians relationships because people respected Bruce Arians. You get Antonio Cromartie late, Carlos Dansby, Jonathan Abraham, Dwight Freeney. I mean, those were the kind of moves late in the year where it's just like, man, Antoine Cason in 2013. I mean, that was his best attribute, getting vets in the building when they know they had shortcomings. Yeah. The Cardinals roster, newsflash for people out there, after the draft is still not going to be a finished product. They're still not in a position where they can say like, oh, I don't want quality vet that's going to cost me no money because I've got a draft pick coming in. That to me is the one area I would love to see Ossenfort continue to monitor, Bo.
Yeah, it seems like he just has no want or will to do that.
No desire.
They're like, hey, we like these guys in free agency. These are the guys that we've done our homework on, that we're willing to spend on, that we don't view as, fool's gold, that teams let them go for a reason, and we're not going to entertain that. And then we don't want to create any kind of, hurdle for our incoming draft class. But like, it does feel like the position, one of the needs they kind of viewed, they didn't find a solution to that. So maybe it's just like, do you get out of your comfort zone and really kind of do your homework and uncover every stone here as far as this poor free agency goes, even though you've done a lot of the heavy lifting already.
Here's what it better not do, because you haven't found a corner. It better not lead to forcing a corner pick at pick 16. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that. But first, let's break down our tiers, Bo. As they stand right now, we're debuting this for the first time, Shano. Let's see it here. Our tiers for 2025, the NFL draft. And we've got 5 categories: production or character concerns, best case scenario in terms of being realistic, great players and prospects, but not a preference, and we'll talk about that, the dream scenario, and then 2 guys, the ultimate safety net. So, Bo, Where do you want to jump into? A lot to break down here.
Oh man, I feel like I'm on Jeopardy. Are you Trebek? R.I.P. by the way. But man, let's get into the dream scenario first,
like it.
because I think that's the most. Let's get that pipe dream out of the way.
Yeah, I mean Mason Graham would require a trade up. Will Campbell could be OT2 on some teams' boards, but feels like too good of a prospect to fall out of the top 10. I mean, those are the two best line of scrimmage players in this draft, right? Like elite programs, elite physical specimens, would immediately make the Cardinals better. Campbell in particular, like I don't care who Jonah Williams is, off injury, on injury, Kelvin Beachum, Will Campbell immediately comes in and plays right tackle for you as a rookie. Mason Graham's a starter with Darius Robinson. I mean, I didn't even put Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter on here because that's not realistic. That dream scenario where this team could legitimately trade up and grab, either Graham or Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell, I think he kind of squashed everything. Sort of Fran Duffy just saying, like, as far as how they utilized him at LSU and how much he had to kind of really hold down the blind side of the last two quarterbacks there, and playing for he started all 3 seasons for the Tigers, and the level he played, and then people are just going to put up a stink about his arm size when you couldn't have been more productive in the best conference in the country at LSU like Campbell. I think he will be LT1, and then Membu, who we'll talk about here shortly. It's like those are the two positions, right? Tackle and defensive tackle, where you've got two guys at the top of their respective position groups that are just maybe a tier and a half above the next group of guys.
Guys that we feel like if teams are stupid, and the teams in the top 5 to 7 typically are, hello Browns and Giants and Raiders, they can talk themselves into bad quarterbacks, running backs, maybe a tight end. Let great line of scrimmage players fall, right? I love our friends at CHGO. Keep talking up Genty. Keep talking up skill players.
I see our guy brags. He's like Campbell's the guy. I think they finally had they've gotten a little wise in their years of rooting for fantasy football, that they want like a legit left tackle to protect their number one asset in Caleb Williams. Like, congratulations.
Well, it'd be like the Cardinals taking Jahmyr Gibbs over Paris, a couple of years ago. It's like awesome. The Lions, it was a cherry on top with that pick on their juggernaut. It was not the foundational piece. I love our guy out of Tucson, Damon's teammate. Yeah. But like, what have they won? What have they done anything? Like the Falcons famously took, Pitts over a generational wide receiver and offensive tackle. And
they've been a top 10 horse show.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Awful.
They took Pitts over, I know Jamar Chase, but also Penei Sewell.
Yep.
They take Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Well, I guess they got
Bijan.
Bijan. Yeah. And then they take Michael Penix inside the top 10 last year after giving the bag to Kirk Cousins.
Bad. Let's get back to this list. Not bad. So again, dream scenario, not out of the realm of possibility, would likely require a trade up. I
think we're keeping like Hunter out of there, but it's still positionally. I don't think like Travis Hunter would do a couple different things for the Cardinals. One, and like you would give him a great defensive back, but also I think that a wide receiver that you could put in there every once in a while, packages for that would help. Open things up for Marv and Trey McBride, but that is a pipe dream scenario, no doubt about it.
Let's go best case scenario. I think it's both Georgia defensive ends, Jalen Walker outside linebacker, pass rusher, Mykel Williams, who's a big, thicker player, not as explosive but powerful, and then Membu, the tackle out of Missouri, who a lot of people have as OT1. I'm not going to argue with that. I think Membu is a fringe top 10 player right now. Kind of the consensus is going around 8 to 12. Yeah. Jalen Walker's kind of in that same ballpark. Mykel Williams, most draft boards I've seen have him as a top 15 pick. Doesn't mean these guys can't fall. Doesn't mean the Cardinals can't jump up a spot or two. But
Mhm.
these are like any of these three guys at the podium, you run the ticket up and you don't look back, Bo.
Yeah, this would be unreal to get one of these guys. I mean, Jalen Walker, I think, would play the outside linebacker. It'd be a perfect fit for what Nick Rollis and Jonathan Gannon want. But then you look at Michael Williams, who Fran Duffy compared his NFL comp as Josh Sweat.
Yeah.
So why not, get a younger version of that? Clearly, Jonathan Gannon likes that player profile. So both of those former Dogs from Georgia, I think you really like those. And then the ability to set it and forget it as far as your tackles for the foreseeable future with Membo and Paris Johnson Jr. I mean, that's really like leaning into positional value, getting an ultimate, premium player at a premium position. Those absolutely are best case scenario. And given, how the draft dominoes fall, you could very well see 1 to 2 potentially being there. If I'm looking at this though, Johnny, like I think I want it to potentially be Williams. I think that as far as like pass rush upside and filling what their biggest weakness and what we view as their biggest weakness still is the edge, or coming off the edge and producing pressure. I think Williams would probably be your best bet there after he dealt with, a foot injury his entire previous season at Georgia.
I also think of the three, he's the most likely to be there. So I have no issue with that. And again, he's more of a traditional defensive end, which is my preference anyway. Putting a pin on that group, moving to production and or character concern. So 3 of these 4 are specific to character concerns. One in Shamir Stewart is production. 1.5 sacks for 3 straight seasons for Stewart at Texas A&M. That's scary. And then speaking of scary, everything going on off the field with Mike Green, James Pierce Jr. and Walter Nolan are kind of in a middling category of themselves. We're like, supposedly they're just not good dudes, right? Nothing criminal. I don't want to besmirch their character, but just like what's coming out of Ole Miss and Tennessee is like, we don't want these guys around anymore.
Right.
All 4 of these players are worthy of the 16th overall pick. All 4 of these players could shine under JG and Nick Rollis. It has to be the right set of circumstances, but I'm going to tell you right now, I feel comfortable if they take any of these players, even Mike Green, because they vet them, the production, you could manufacture what you need to year one. Everybody's going to play. To me, it's like, give me all 4 of those guys over a mid-tier OT3 or beyond, because I trust Gannon and Rollis that much.
Yeah, they're not just, signing off on it just willy-nilly, right? You see that they've got everything you want, from production to, the measurements, the athleticism, the physicality. If JG and Monti Ossenfort are in lockstep and signing off and saying, hey, we can work with this, then I'm on board. And call, the ultimate just Kool-Aid guzzler here, but I think that they've earned it as far as the caliber of players they've brought in. And the buy-in that you see as far as the culture here, as far as under Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon. Yeah. Each and every one of those guys, maybe outside of Stewart, because his is a production issue.
Right.
Like, can they get more? Can they turn him into the next Danielle Hunter, where it's like 4.5 sacks at the collegiate level? Can he produce more at this level? That's probably the one like that I would just be like, we'll have to wait and see on this one.
No, I just feel like they're so big on the RAS score, and that's everything now. Like, I mean, this is going to hurt me. Jack Sawyer, much better college player than Stewart. Jack Sawyer, not a fifth of the NFL prospect that Stewart is, clearly, by everybody's stretch of the imagination. Some guys are great college players. I mean, like, Josh Allen's college production stunk. It was awful, but it was about projecting. I only would feel good about that because my head coach and DC are brilliant on that side of the ball and could say, I see the feet, I see the explosiveness, I see the lower body, I see the power. And like Texas A&M, that program, like, what are they churning out? What did everybody say? Yeah, we're going overtime here.
Wow, look at this.
Continues from our many streaming partners. Jumping over to gophnx.com. We got 700 watching live. Thank you for that, Shano. My point was,
I like that, man.
It was great.
Huge. Yeah, jump on over, gophnx.com.
Remember when Mark Richt, and people have used this comp before, he was okay at Georgia, right? Had some good years, had some middling years, but the talent was always great, but it never reached its crescendo until it got to the NFL. Like there are programs like that all through the SEC where it's like, does the coach know what they're doing? Not everybody's peak Nick Saban or Kirby Smart. It's like, if this kid has the elite attributes, he's great on a whiteboard, you love his vibe, and you're like, I think I can get him beyond what he did at the collegiate level, which would not be hard. He'd probably do that in 2 games with Gannon. Then take him. I don't have any. Right. Do that over reaching on a guard or an off-ball linebacker.
I mean, Nick Skorton, who also played at Texas A&M, I mean, he was a guy that was like, yeah, our defense wasn't conducive to racking up sacks. But then also you hear Fran Duffy, and he's like, it's not just, getting after the quarterback and creating pressure. It's in the run game. So, there's a couple of different red flags along with the production for Shemar Stewart, who just at this point, you're like, is he just a workout warrior? Is he just a freak in the gym?
DK Metcalf was a workout warrior. How'd that work out?
Yeah, I hear you.
Had like 500 yards.
Yeah,
I was like, this guy in it, and then it turns out he was.
And Walter Nolan, who's also on this list, exited Texas A&M. I mean,
because he couldn't get his production up because it wasn't
program. Complete. Yeah, where like Walter.
But Nolan, see, that's what I'm saying. Is like maybe Texas A&M can recruit guys and can't develop them.
They can pay guys. They can pay guys. I mean, they're in the top 10 to 5 in college football as far as paying guys.
I mean, like
Nolan though, as far as this grouping, as he's in this with Shemar Stewart, Mike Green, and James Pierce Jr. Like his biggest thing is people were just kind of salty. He exited. Corpus Christi?
Cry about it. I mean, the guy's doing what's best for. I mean, how many times we see guys at collegiate, college basketball, the elite quarterbacks jumping around. It's you want to do it for the team, but you're setting yourself up, man. Walter Nolan set himself up to be a top pick. He made the best decision, so he wasn't going in statistics hell on earth with Texas A&M with the 2 pass rushers. We're nitpicking right now. So, real quick, Mike Green. I know people in the chat, sexual assault allegations, nothing criminal yet. He hasn't been arrested. He hadn't had charges pressed. I don't even think there was a civil suit. But there are people in the chat, rightfully so, like, I couldn't sit right with that. No issue with that. And again, I don't think Gannon and Ossenfort will target him whatsoever. But we have, I mean, he's a guy who's one of the fastest risers in this draft. We have to put him on the list.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan Schultz is the guy that's ultimately, stumping for him and saying that he can make meteoric rise to top 10, which would be crazy considering where he was to start this draft process. We're going to have to vet that. Like, I think when we have Mike Garafolo, and we'll have him join us a week from today, as he's done this offseason, we'll ask Mike, if Mike Green has taken he'll have him do some homework. Has Mike Green done a top 30 visit with the Cardinals? And I think that would be very telling. Because if they're willing to bring him in and put him through the process, and he's made it through, the combine interview stage to coming to the facility, I think, with the production leading the college ranks in sacks, that's a guy that, I think despite, Fran not liking some of his shortcomings, his measurements, I should say, his arm length and stuff like that. I think Mike Green, you can't rule him out until like the Cardinals definitively have shown no interest. So
Jacob's saying Mike Green's the best edge in this class. I think he's got that argument. Like, I was somebody who was critical of the competition early on. Then you watch him. He just looks like every great NFL pass rusher coming out. Like, whereas like Mykel Williams was hurt, we're hopeful. Jalen Walker wasn't asked to do certain things, we're hopeful. Shemar Stewart, Mike Green, you put the tape on, and it's like, go do that on NFL Sundays. I mean, he was legitimately putting people in the dirt at the Senior Bowl. I mean, and then if it wasn't for the off the field allegations, I think he would be I think he'd be mocked in everybody's top 10.
Yeah.
But then you hear the stuff about being removed from boards. All right. So that's that group, why it's so polarizing. We know this definitively. So everybody take note. The Cardinals want to take an edge rusher at 16.
Yeah.
That is their preference. We've been told that. They have to flush that position group. Baron Browning, Zaven Collins as backups. They want to pair Josh Sweat with a rookie. But it might not align there based on the person, the player, off the field, inconsistencies. You can't force it. So we pivot from that group and we go to what Bo and I are calling the safety net. Who are two players, if you had to pick at 16, is it an overdraft? I don't know. But it's not an edge rusher, but it's an impact defensive lineman. Let's see it one more time, Shano. The safety net, Kenneth Grant, who I just slobber all over every time I watch his highlights. And then Derek Harmon, equally as impressive. Michigan, Oregon, national champion caliber programs, elite defensive tackles. Kenneth Grant last year, unbelievable. For the national champion Wolverines, overshadowed by Mason Graham. I wouldn't be my first choice with either guy, but I would have no issue with either of them being the pick at 16.
And guys that you're not going to be able to kind of like tell their impact in the box score, right? These are guys that are going to be the anchor of your defense. They're going to be right there in the interior defensive line. They're going to be rotating out with Darius Robinson and Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones and Dalvin Tomlinson and, playing around 40% of the snaps to start. But guys that you haven't had athletic bigs like this ever since Gannon took over and actually beyond that. So, these are guys that I think that absolutely a safety net, no doubt about it. But I think it is kind of crazy to see just the down the line. Like you'll see Jacob in the chat saying Harmon, and, another person will say Grant. I mean, Johnny, I follow you on Twitter. I mean, I see you out there. You're out there talking about Kenneth Grant. Like you're getting, I think you're really feeling Kenneth Grant right now.
Well, it's like with Darius last year. I know Darius had a nightmare rookie season, personal issues, injuries, but like Darius is a prospect. Kenneth Grant is a better prospect, I think, than Darius. What are Kenneth Grant's shortcomings? Like he's not Mason Graham, right?
Right.
But like he's 6'3", 6'4", 340-pound defensive tackle that has no bad weight on him, that legitimately murders centers and offensive guards, that was a part of a historic defense 2 years ago, that when that defense wanted to F around and play well last year, they embarrassed Ohio State and our guy Justin Fry. Michigan basically took the year off last year. Go look at the Texas game. I mean, like those guys doing what's best for them because they're getting ready for the NFL draft. I mean, Jamar Chase sat out the COVID year to get ready for the draft. I don't have any issue with that. I have no questions about where he played, how he translates. I think people are copying him to Dalvin Tomlinson. I think he's got a higher ceiling than Dalvin Tomlinson. This is how you control the line of scrimmage in the NFL. And if you can't get a speed or power rusher, you'd be way worse off than taking a guy like this. By the way, I like Derek Harmon too. He met with the Cardinals. It went well. I don't care if you say that's a better scheme fit, take him. I don't.
They love talking to him. They love talking to him. I've got a new favorite draft analyst, Shane, if you would. Senior Poop here breaking down Kenneth Grant's game. Yeah, Senior Poop saying Grant is so strong, plus very quick.
He's on ESPN, right?
Senior Poop? Yeah. Let's go to
it's Senior Poop.
Senior Poop. Oh man. Just the insight that we've been craving from chat name Senior Poop. Love it. You're not going to get that listen to local radio here.
Johnny's disgusted.
No. You love Senior Poop.
He's disgusted.
No, I was looking up Kenneth Grant stuff. Sorry.
You are upset. You're a little.
He is. He's like, I take this seriously.
Yeah.
We're not going to big AJ and Big Justice this, okay?
You call him Ken. That's where that's the state of the relationship.
Hey,
with
Ken, I'm John. We use our short name. So those are safe picks.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm curious about where you would put this guy, because he's not on this list, and I think he would either be safety net or great, but what's the other one? It's like great
prospect, great player, but not our preference.
Josh Simmons.
The injury. Now Todd McShay questioning his vibes.
Yeah.
There are two tackles that I would take at 16. And it's the two we mentioned.
Yeah.
Kelvin Banks Jr. is trending. I don't think Kelvin Banks starts over Jonah Williams. Not a good pick.
Right.
Membo and Campbell do. It's not good team building to think this way, but you're still picking in the top half of the draft, which means you can't draft a player that is not a starter right away. Sorry, can't.
Yeah.
All these defenders play right away, right? These edge rushers, these DTs. You want to take a tackle, it's got to kick Jonah Williams to the curb. Goodbye. Kelvin Beachum, goodbye. And something tells me, I mean, you took Kelvin Beachum, you brought him back for a reason. You didn't cut Jonah Williams. We thought you would. They're going to, and this is just my guess, 47, 78, take a developmental tackle, Isaiah Adams style, to get ready for 2026.
Yeah.
Unless one of the elites fall. It's too good of a defensive line class this year. There are legitimately 6 names that we would salivate over. Take one of those guys at 16. Lean into the strength of this class. I like Josh Simmons, and everybody loves to connect the dots with Justin Fry. Awesome. Do me a solid. Take 47, trade up for him. I don't care.
Right.
Go up and get a 5th-year option at pick 31. And let's exit the first round with Kenneth Grant and Josh Simmons. And then let's dominate the landscape, the line of scrimmage of the NFC West, or whomever. Mykel Williams and Josh, do that. Don't force them at pick 16.
Cooking a little bit with that off the cuff. I won't have a definitive answer on Josh Simmons until draft analyst Senior Poop chimes in on him on the chat. Dana chiming in. Tyleik Williams is a run stuffer that people think Grant is. Tyleik Williams had an eventful pro day. Now, I'm glad he's okay, but the guy was running his 40 and completely just hit the deck. We thought he had a serious leg injury.
That's going to be me and my son's trampoline park birthday party on Saturday night. Tyleik Williams, Johnny Venerable. Let's go to the tape. My ACL, My wife's like, you're not jumping. And then I saw that video. I'm like, maybe I just need to serve cake and hand out goodie bags. That's going to be me. I'm glad he's okay too.
Yeah.
Let's get to our last group. And again, some of these names might bother some people. Great prospect, first round prospects, not our preference, Bo. The usual suspects. They're hot button names on this show. How about Will Johnson, the corner? Again, I almost put him in safety net, but I moved him out because he's not we don't want a corner. He's a great prospect, though. Tyler Booker, guard. I'm not putting that guard from 1AA on here. I refuse to do it. Tyler Booker's a real prospect, guard. T-Mac, that's for Damon. And then Jihad Campbell, the off-ball linebacker, Alabama. Only big schools, please.
Yeah. No, you're right. You could kind of talk yourself into any one of these. I mean, I know the Campbell one will probably be the most jagged pill to swallow just because of the position, the value, 16. I know guard with Tyler Booker, you can at least look at the size. You'd have to kind of have amnesia as far as Bama offensive lineman. But I think Will Johnson's probably the best, great, but not a preference player here, followed by, just based on need, go Booker.
Probably.
Even though he just had horrible RAS scores and combine performance.
Ugh.
And then you got it. I like T-Mac in the same receiver room as Marv and Michael Wilson. That'd be fun in fantasy football. I don't know if it makes the Cardinals necessarily a better offense.
Will Johnson probably needs his own category as just he's the ultimate. Because here's the thing. Will Johnson's a better prospect than Kenneth Grant and Derek Harmon. But the Cardinals need Derek Harmon and Kenneth Grant more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Will Johnson is a top 12 prospect. We can be wrong on here and say we would rather have a defensive lineman and be honest and say it's just not our preference for this team to take another corner. Work with the corners you have. Make it work. You've used up all your capital, in my opinion. They need to sign a veteran. I think people are concerned also about Will Johnson's arm length. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So I think the consensus with this list is, and we're going to go through it again as we get closer, none of these prospects are perfect. Everybody's got question marks. That's what happens when you're not picking 4th and you get Marv or you get Paris at 6. Will Anderson Jr., we're talking about him. You're picking 16. Get used to having question marks about guys when you improve your play. That's what we want.
Right. There was concerns about Mike Sanistrel's size coming out of Michigan too. He had an awesome rookie year for the Commanders.
Yeah.
And Will Johnson was light years ahead of Sanders Shirley, like at Michigan. He was the star
He would be good with Gannon and Rollins.
Yeah.
But can he rush the passer? There's that clip of Jordan Love with the Cardinals, and it's like,
yeah.
Cardinals are like, oh, these corners can't cover. No, the pass rush, it was MIA for 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Primetime couldn't do that. Patrick Peterson couldn't do that. It's not a year where you can take him. In my opinion, I could be swayed, though. I could be swayed. We got 7 super chats. If you're watching right now live, hit us with a like. We got 722. If you're watching on the Twitter streets, jump on over to YouTube. Perfect time to get in the mix with all of our friends like Aaron Van Buren, 285 super chat. We should measure how high JV's Studio K voice gets.
Is that in like decibel or key? Like, are we talking about how high the pitch is or how loud it is?
What's the key?
Oh, it's I don't know. It's like 8 octaves up. That's probably like an F sharp.
ABB, by the way, what a unique super chat. $2.85.
Love it. It's a unique guy.
Yep. Josh Espada, great guy. Look at this one. What's it say?
We want Skattebo and congrats on the baby bow.
Oh, nice. Woo! Well, I was thinking about the profile pic. Oh, he's got me.
It's you saying I hate you to Skattebo.
Oh, jeez.
Bo, what you can do to kind of dispel that? I think it's all encompassing in this super chat. Name your next child.
Ooh.
Cam Skattebo. Cam Skattebo Brack.
First name Scat. Middle name Abu.
Skattebo Brack. Yeah, we dropped it on Instagram today. We're proud to announce we're expecting in early June. So, yeah.
That means you get a whole heap of me with a slew of co-hosts. If you'd like to co-host while Bo Brack is on paternity leave, shoot me a DM.
Actually, you should do it Skatta, and then you can have him take your middle name.
Okay. Not bad.
Skattebo Brack.
Maybe at the draft party we raffle off a chance to co-host with Johnny one of the days I'm gone.
Oh, I was gonna say raffle off naming rights to your new kid.
I might have to pay people to do the show with me at this rate. Charlie Sinclair, back-to-back super chats, our resident Charger fan, friend of the program. Hello from 35,000 feet. We know Charlie is in aviation. I hope you're being safe, my guy. We appreciate you. 199. Johnny, will you be sick if Monty trades back? No.
If you can find any value, like especially if a lot of the top prospects go off the board and he can find value in a trade back, I applaud that. I just think it's going to be so tough. I think there's probably a bunch of teams that would say, yeah, we trade back.
Who are people coming up for that wouldn't also
Did you see the juicy rumor today on the Twitter street about the Pittsburgh Steelers and an alleged love affair with Jalen Milroe?
Don't hate it. You know how I feel about Jalen Milroe.
They'd be willing to use 21? Is that where they are?
Toolsy. We talk about, hang on.
Have they not learned their lesson?
Can I say something that might get me canceled on this show?
Oh, no.
I think Jalen Milroe in the right situation could be better than Shedeur Sanders in 3 to 5 years. How about that?
I don't know. Why would it get you canceled?
I just mean because a lot of people love Shedeur Sanders. I saw Shedeur at his pro day throwing against air, and people are like, the Dove frauds were out. And it's like, this guy's can't miss. I'm like, bro, this isn't real football. Come on. Jalen Milroe's got a better arm, and he's more mobile, and he played against better competition. I would rather have Jalen Milroe than Shedeur.
Well, you got Will Howard out there throwing in like these all-world Ohio State wide receivers after just a nightmare combine, and he looks like he's all-world again because he's throwing a.
Hey guys, I'm better now.
Yeah,
fixed it.
Reezy baby, $2. Hard pass on 2 positionless Bulldogs. Is Michael Williams positionless?
No, Jalen Walker might be though, but Reezy baby, here's where I've come to grips with is if we're inserting Jahad Campbell, a true off-ball linebacker in the conversation, Jalen Walker by comparison looks way better. So that's kind of how I'm rationalizing it. Plus, it's not listen, Mason Graham, Travis Hunter, and Abdul Carter are the elite blue chippers in this draft. And then there's a bunch of guys where you're like, you're hoping and praying to the football gods it works out. Like Brian Burns once upon a time went in the teens. You got to just trust Ossenfort and Gannon. And we spend a lot of time with JG. We're very fortunate on this show. You don't think that guy knows defense and defensive ends and defensive tackles? Like, pretty good. The only reason Ojulari and Darius haven't taken off yet is because they haven't been healthy. Everybody told us Ojulari was going to have 10 sacks last year, and Darius was a freak show before he got hurt. Like, they can scout that position.
Charlie Sinclair once again hitting us up from the air, 199. I think Donovan Ezeraku is going to be great from Boston College. But 16 and a half sacks, was up there in TFL's college football.
I think you're looking at a guy you wouldn't feel comfortable at 16. At least I wouldn't. But in a trade down scenario, and a trade up from 47, there's going to be a bunch of guys. We're going to taper off at about 16, 17, 18th. And then there's going to be a bunch of guys mushed together from 20 to 40 that are all going to have similar grades. So, I mean, you got to hope that one of these gems falls and that you get a dumb team to trade up. And then you can trade down and double dip on some of those mid-tier prospects. Dana R. Ball Knower, $5. He can't move sideways via Kenneth Grant. JV, make Grant do anything other than push a guy into a straight line is no effect on the game. Well, he's 340 pounds. Like, I don't expect him to be like Mr. Quickness in the open field, but a lot of the game takes place between guard, center, guard. If he can take up that real estate and free up linebackers to blitz and free up edge rushers to have stunts, like, they would have a very specific plan for him to impact the game. Plus, like, the Cardinals games get repped from the interior, not on the edge. So I have no issue with it. I think he's a firm top 20 pick, in my opinion.
Mac Daddy Wesley chiming in saying, congrats both. Thank God your caffeine hiatus didn't go into June. Laugh out loud. Preach to that. No doubt about it. Thank you for Josh Sweat, Monti Ossenfort, opening up the salary cap checkbook. And I could have some caffeine when we're on very minimal sleep when the kid comes.
You've earned it, my friend. Tim, $4.99. According to my piano, JV hit between a B5 and a C5. Well, thank you for that. Pretty high for a guy. Well, wait a minute. That's my range. Listen, some people tell me I have the voice of an angel.
Work here, by the way. That's amazing.
We appreciate you, Tim. We appreciate everybody watching right now. Almost 800 watching live.
Yeah.
If you've gotten your draft tickets, hit us up on Twitter. Tag us in a post, immediate retweet, immediate follow by a beat account. If you're a diehard and haven't gotten your tickets, what are you waiting for? Perfect time right now. These tickets are selling out. We want to party with you. I can't tell how many people last year assumed they'd be around, with good reason. And then we were about 2 to 3 weeks out and they're like, oh no, I need to get my tickets. And they were gone. There was nothing we could do. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, go get your tickets. Your price includes all you can eat from a pristine buffet plus 3 drink tickets, not 1, not 2, 3 drink tickets, which is, it's going to do the job for you as we funnel into pick 16. Certainly would do it for your boys. So again, we want to party with you. We're excited about this. This is the biggest event that this show does every single year. There's nobody to partner better, Bo, than our friends at Gila.
Nobody better than that. So excited for it. Before we get out of here, there was a mock draft that was sent to me. It was a 7-rounder. Have you seen this yet, Johnny?
No, I haven't.
I want to get your thoughts on it. So first round was Mike Green going to the Cardinals at 16th overall. The second round was Iowa State wide receiver Jalen Noel.
Okay.
Ran a sub 440. Emory Jones Jr., who I know you like, LSU, kind of a versatile offensive lineman. So far, so good?
It's not my favorite, but the value is strong.
Deion Walker, who used to be a draft darling of mine, but I've soured on in the 4th round. And then Jalen Smith, the corner at USC, Shamar James, linebacker out of Florida, who I do know the Cardinals have talked to, and they're in the draft process. Any thoughts on that?
I like the first pick if they can. If they feel comfortable with Mike Green. I think that's just people connecting the dots. I wanted more defensive tackles because I hate the veterans on this team, respectfully. Like, I want another top 50 defensive tackle. But that you don't have. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come. So B plus.
Yeah. Respectfully, I hate their guts. Right. That's basically what you said about.
I think they're just not winning players. I think they're players that you sign when your team is just trying to get its bearings about, and they're not. I would love. Because I think the depth at D tackle is not as great as edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Take a D tackle that's a top 20 pick firm and then get an edge rusher at 47, we're cooking with gas, brother.
Yeah. Deion Walker just doesn't, even in the 4th round, I view him as like, is he even going to be active game day, for this team? He's got a long way to go. That is via ESPN's Matt Miller.
He can do worse. You've seen him do worse because sometimes he is the worst. But hey, Matt, you're making marginal improvements. If you'd like to come on the show, we would welcome you. That's better than back-to-back corners in the 1st and 2nd round, Bo.
Yeah, he's coming a long way. Way to go, Matty. We appreciate that. We appreciate everybody who tuned in today. They hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, please do it. It does wonders for us. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Our road to 40K, it gets closer. I know we're at 38 already. Let's continue that march to 40K. We'd love it. We love everybody, each and every one of you. Chiming in as you do each and every show. Following us on social media at PHNX_Cardinals, Twitter, Instagram, and follow Johnny at Johnny Venerable. Great work behind the scenes. Fire guy Shane Diefenbach, pitch hitting for Damon, who's going to be live for Wildcats Sweet 16 game tonight. Check that out here on PHNX Sports. And so much more. Our guys from Sun Devils are going to be breaking down Scats private workout even more tomorrow. Don't miss that, but also don't miss us wrapping up the week, barring any emergency podcast between now and then. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the hoops and so much more. Opening day, our guy Derek is going to be doing some PHNX Diamondbacks as well.
Loaded.
Yeah, we're loaded today. It's the best time of year. We'll talk to you on Friday here on PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.